That's what we like to
cool.
do. Whenever we try and make product, we're like, well, who can we annoy the most? Whose feathers can we ruffle in this category that's been around for hundreds of years? It was weird to have such a fast rise and then to drop to almost zero again. A side note, warm feet actually help you orgasm. That's just, put that on the podcast.
Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Every week, Nathan Bush from eSuite and an e-commerce industry expert will share the news, research and insights that you need to know to keep you at the top of your game. And of course, keep your customers adding to cart.
Hello and welcome to Add to Cart. My name is Nathan Bush, host of Add to Cart and director at e-commerce talent agency eSuite. Now, let's talk about last Thursday night. I think I'm still coming down a little bit from it. Of course, it was our very first Add to Cart live event. It was brought to you by Convert Digital, and we were lucky enough to be joined by over 150 of the best retailers and minds in e-commerce and held it at the amazing Howard Smith Wharves in Brisbane. Overlooking the Story Bridge, beautiful canapes, a few little drinks along the way. Now, sorry, that doesn't help you if you didn't make it, but hopefully what does help you is that we actually recorded it so you can hear it today. And this is a chat that you do not want to have missed. I was lucky enough to be joined by Athan Didaskalou, the co-founder of July. Now, July is a luggage brand reinventing the wheel, quite literally, as you'll hear, to create lightweight, beautiful, and practical cases that are really shaking up the industry leaders like Samsonite. They launched in 2019, but as we know, COVID totally disrupted them, and they lost 90% of revenue pretty quickly, but now they've bounced back 10 times higher than pre-COVID figures. They are regularly seen on the arms of personalities like Chrissy Teigen, Celeste, Barber, and Apple Martin, and are the official luggage partner of the Olympics and Commonwealth Games. So some amazing stories here. During our live chat, Athan shares his unique organic PR tips, his predictions around experiential retail, and a portable way to stay connected that the team at July are working on. It was a very, very special sneak preview. Plus, Athan answers questions from our live audience, so you don't just get stuck with my questions. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just want to give a massive, massive thanks to all of our event partners who brought Add to Cart to life. Firstly, Convert Digital. They not only supported, but actually organised the event. You don't want to leave something like that up to me. And they're absolutely amazing. So a big thank you, shout out to Andrew, Charlotte, and the team at Convert Digital who took my idea for a live show and really brought it to life. And this was supported by e-commerce partners Anzen, Gorgeous, Klaviyo, Reviews.io, and ShipStation. I mean, if you're going to have e-commerce partners, we've gone straight to the top here. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed and helped bring this to life. And one last but very special thanks to Gil and his team at the Podcast Boss. You guys mastered the live recording. I'd never done it before, and as you hear here, podcast team have just nailed it. And for you, if you get excited by Athan's July story, and I have absolutely no doubt that you will, I am still excited about it 1 week later. He has generously supplied a discount code for Add to Cart listeners, whether you're at the event or you're listening at home. Stay with us until the end for that. So let's get into it. Thanks to our partners, Convert Digital, Anzen, Gorgeous, Klaviyo, Reviews.io, and ShipStation. Kind of feel like I'm doing an Oscars speech here. Here's our conversation with Athan Didaskalou, founder and chief strategy officer at July.
All righty. Thank you so much, guys. I'm Ali. I am a head of project management at Convert Digital here in Brisbane, and I will be your MC for this evening. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of Meanjin, the land where we gather today, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. Welcome, everybody. What a turnout. Wow. I think we've not got enough seats for everybody, but make yourselves comfortable. And welcome to the very, very first Add to Cart live event presented by Convert Digital. We're so proud to be here and to share this with you lovely faces. For those who don't know, Add to Cart is Australia's leading e-commerce podcast, but I'm sure you're all familiar. It is hosted by the fabulous Nathan Bush, who has disappeared.
Sorry,
but
coming.
I'm sure
That
he will
wasn't
be here.
intentional, by the way. Hoi, 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 hoi.
Here he comes. Hey,
Oh,
the
sorry.
fabulous, on cue, the fabulous Nathan Bush. Cool. So from startups to specialists, the Add to Cart podcast really delves into the minds of the e-commerce professionals and the smartest people out there to help e-commerce professionals like yourselves get better in business. So, yes, we would like to now introduce our special guest. Hey, he's over there.
Straight on. Just been hanging around the bar.
Athan Didaskalou, please come onto the stage.
Thanks for having me, and congrats on the first event, man. This is special, you know. Give them a round of applause.
I know.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal, man.
real people.
It's a special night.
It is
Special.
fun.
I feel
And
honoured.
Thanks for everyone turning up, and thanks for agreeing. When Charlotte said, "Let's do this event," I'm like, "Cool." And she's like, "Have you got a guest?" I'm like, "No, I thought you'd have the guest." And she's like, "No, you got to find the guest." I'm like, "Okay." So I was like, we met an online retailer, really briefly, and I said, "I'd love to have you on the pod." And you're like, "Yeah, just hit me up." And I linked in you, and I heard nothing back. LinkedIn, nothing back. I'm like, shit, he ghosted me. And then we got in touch, and I was like, maybe you'd like to do this event. And I'm so stoked you did. So
I just don't reply
much.
to any messages unless it's a direct SMS.
Yeah.
That's what it is, you know. So many messages,
And
so
you'll be
many channels.
giving out your phone number later, right?
That's it,
Yeah,
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
So tell us about this thing. Tell us, I had a great surprise today to have this turn up on my doorstep, literally at about 2:00 this afternoon, opening it up, and I went, perfect timing, how good. We've got a prop and we can speak to it. So tell us about July and what we see in front of us and your favourite features on it. Like a Denos Direct kind of ad.
We're going to go straight sales pitch, you know.
Yeah.
I work the retail floor a lot, so I've got the cadence, I've got the good sales cadence. So I mean, you know, I founded July. July makes good travel gear, luggage, accessories, and things like that. How do we start? We started with an idea. We started with a dream. To make these things. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, making physical product, and most of you would either be in e-commerce or in the enablement of e-commerce. So you get to see a lot of physical product stuff. There's something magical about making physical things. You know, it's super nice because, you know, I was talking earlier with somebody else. You spend a lot of time in theory. You spend a lot of time doing theoretical digital work that maybe or maybe not, maybe 5% execution rate. Whereas when you're doing physical products, you know that you've got a long lead time, but you're getting to the 100% execution point. And it's a fun thing to have a physical product at the end of the day. So for us, I feel very privileged to have done both. A lot of digital experience in the past, and then sort of move towards physical goods now, and it feels pretty special. That's not what you asked me anyway, but
no,
you
but
asked me to do sales pitch on the luggage, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we love. There's a lot of different features.
Like little.
Oh, we're actually going to demo.
Yeah.
So, you know, the wheels are beautiful. We've got some really lovely wheels, you know, 360 spinners.
I heard they're more than lovely wheels. I heard you spend a significant amount of your startup budget on those wheels.
How'd you know that? Yeah,
Got
well, you got some sources. Yeah, okay.
And I do a little bit of research.
Oh, I'll tell you that story. So, yeah, you can sit down.
I'm happy to be.
You want to demo? Yeah, sure. Okay, all right.
You can use your hands.
So, all right, I'll give you guys the unvarnished story, right? So, obviously suitcases have been around for a long time. How do you change anything when suitcases is quite a generic category? So we didn't have much money back then, but we did the most free research that we could do and just reading free reviews online. It was like the best research we could find, right? So, and the issues that we found were all the edges would get pressed in. So corners and sides would always get pressed in from luggage handlers, just treating things poorly.
No.
You know, just bad people to handle these things. So we're like, okay, cool. Well, why don't we make it rounder? You know, it's not that revolutionary. Like, why don't we just change the radius on the case so that you get better bounce back on the edges? In order to do that, you have to get this little thing that holds the wheel, is the thing that dictates 80% of the shape of the case.
I just realised this is going to make a horrible audio podcast, but
The black corner thing at the bottom left hand of the thing, it's...
we got video.
Exactly, we'll video it. It's fine. Jump on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that little black hole, that little wheel housing was the thing that dictates the shape of the case. Now, most people end up getting these things off the shelf because it's not worth the investment to change that. It's like it's a crazy expensive thing to change for something that nobody would care about. So we had to make the judgment call. That's the insight that you would have found out secretly from somebody was that we had to spend around $75,000. That was the first investment. We just started the business. We had to spend around $75,000 remolding these, and we were like, is anybody going to care?
Yeah.
Would anybody really give a shit whether we change these wheel housings or not to get the curvier case that we wanted? And so that was I think that set the tone for, we did it, obviously.
What made you say yes to that?
I mean, we're like, well, why are we doing this, right? Like, we wanted to make something different, and the curvature was a big part of what we were doing. So we pulled the trigger, and I think that set the tone for the type of business that July was going to be, that we were going to commit to doing things a little bit differently, that we were going to, just be sort of, put the money where our mouths were in terms of trying to create custom product.
Yeah.
Creating luggage is very difficult in the sense that it's mostly hand done. So once this is vacuum formed, the rest of it's all sort of hand screwed, hand stitched. It's not as automated as you may think. And there's no like car manufacturing robot hands like making your suitcase, right? It's literally people stitching in things. So, in this thing, luggage is actually quite a difficult category to sort of to replicate and to just make things custom. You can get a lot of things off the shelf, but you know what those things look like, right? Like you can see sort of a cheap suitcase a mile away, and they're okay. The category has lent itself to sort of like cheap single or double use accessories, or this like ultra premium, ultra luxury stuff that we all love as well. Like I love the luxury stuff too, but you can't spend $2-3 on luggage every day and expect it to not get beaten up. So
especially in Greece.
So the idea is that we wanted, the D2C model provided a great framework to be able to make that luxury luggage, but sell it at a price that everybody could use it at. So they didn't have to buy the $50 Kmart bags. They could jump over to ours.
And I love this little thing. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so we try and make products that change the game a little bit. It's a little bit hard because you're standing up like that.
It's really easy normally. Super easy.
So the thing comes off, right? So there's a lot of luggage with pockets in the front. We decided we wanted ours to come off, so we found these beautiful German magnets from Fidlock that hold around 15 kilos each. And so the idea is that it sort of just clips on like that, but then also doesn't come off. It's got to come up. So, the idea is that, you're sort of traveling around and then you can just take your laptop and stuff and then put this in the overhead and then get back to work in your seat as well.
That's cool.
You like that little demo, right? That was
awesome.
That was smooth. I've done that before. So that's what we like to do. Whenever we try and make product, we're like, well, who can we annoy the most? Whose feathers can we ruffle in this category that's been around for hundreds of years? The idea that we could do a suitcase with a pocket that came off would annoy, the establishment. It would annoy mainly Samsonite, right? Samsonite owns, they might buy us one day, which is great. So Samsonite, if you're listening, everything for a price. But
we'll tag them on the socials as well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We know the Samsonite CEO in Australia very well, and he does get annoyed when I say things like this, but it's quite funny. So for us, like we know Samsonite trades on light and strong, so we go, well, what do we try and beat them on that? And so we made the world's lightest double wheel carry-on. It's 1.8 kilos, ultra light, and it feels like a real suitcase. Because usually when you go light, you lose the two handles. You get a single T-bar, which is a pain in the ass. It's so annoying. Nobody likes that. And you, out of the double wheels, you remove one of the wheels. You get the single wheels. And so it's a little bit less stable. It's a little bit less nice. We managed to do it and get it super light with all those features. And then the other side was like the Rumoirs, right? Beautiful. $2,000 luggage. Everyone loves them. I had a couple prior to July, which I've thrown out now, which we're not allowed to use. Recycled into cans. But we were like, well, can we do luxury? Can we tackle luxury? So we did that, and they're $500 as opposed to $2,000. So for us, we like to see who's the incumbents and who's dominating, and then try and go, how would we do it better? How can we use the design ethos that we believe in, the D2C model framework sorry, you're just back here. No, the D2C model that gives us sort of a good opportunity to create a product at the right price point for people.
Yeah. And obviously your range, and this is just one of the range, they go big, they go a bit smaller, there's drink bottles, there's...
Yeah, the drink bottles is a COVID release.
Okay.
Because the theme of the night tonight has been like, despite what's happened, not bad.
Hey, you look pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it was a great business in 2019 when we first kicked off, and then 2019 we were laughing. We were like, this is fantastic. Like first 6 months we'd raised money. We'd raised around 10 mil from some really great investors, and we opened our first retail store. And so we're like 6 months in, great product, retail store, money.
Great time for retail and travel.
Unstoppable. We were on it's great time. We were like, this is a rocket ship. This is going to be fantastic. And, we'd heard whispers about the lockdowns happening in China in January. And we're like, oh, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then obviously we know what's happened from there on in. So we had like a 95 to 97% drop in revenue and a lot of free time. A lot of free time, So we renovated our own warehouse during that time, which is now our office. So it's a little bit symbolic. But so I guess
was there a time during that where you thought you wouldn't make it through the other side?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knew what was going to happen. So it was weird to have such a fast rise and then to drop to almost zero again. You never knew what was going to happen. You always thought it was going to be temporary, but then it was like temporary for a year. And then it just kept going, and like Victorian based. So we weren't even allowed out of the house. Like it was ridiculous. So, we did a few things during that period. I'm getting to the point, I promise. Like drink bottles.
I'm enjoying it.
So, we sort of like, we tried new things. We were like, all right, well, we're not doing anything. We're sort of like painting and rendering a warehouse. We've obviously we've got to start making some money somehow. And so we'd worked with a lot of photographers back then, and we were like, great, why don't we sell their travel photos in beautiful frames and prints so that you can get travel inspired at home. We're like, this is it, genius. This is what we're going to do now. July's our homewares brand. It's going to be fantastic. And I think we sold like 5, and I bought 2 of them. Like it was like we sold none of these things, right? We're like, oh, okay, well, that's not good. So we had spent prior to COVID, we'd spent quite a bit of time and money investing in personalization and being able to create the machine that helps us personalize things. So this is sort of this is our sort of our IP, and so we had this beautiful personalization software and hardware that would help us do these things on luggage. We weren't selling any luggage. What do we do? So we noticed a lot of people were drinking drink bottles. This drink bottle phenomenon. How many drink bottles do you have at home? Like it's crazy. I've got 4 or 5 myself. So we're like, let's do drink bottles. Let's do personalization on the drink bottles.
And let's put hand sanitizer in the drink bottles.
That's right. It was a funny thing, and that took off. Yeah. It took off, and we sold 20,000 bottles, like crazy amount of bottles, because our specialty was you could do individual names on the printing. So it was, and we were very lucky. I guess we didn't really know it when we'd done this part, but there were a lot of corporates who were buying gifts for their staff who are now working from home. So they wanted that, they wanted the little welcome packs and things like that. So that actually helped us just, was it going to save the business? No. It doesn't matter how many drink bottles you sell. It's never going to be the game changer. But it provided momentum. It gave us some confidence again to get back to it. And it just allowed us the framework to start thinking about product development and making new things during COVID.
And how were your investors at that time? I could imagine that there'd be some difficult conversations.
They were pretty supportive. They were they were good people about it. They were really good. Yeah. They were really, really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And tell me if you've told this story 1,000 times, but why the name July?
I do tell this story 1,000
so
times, but I love it. I do love it. No, it's a really simple one. Who went to Europe this year?
Andrew.
Hands up. How many? I think Brisbane people don't go to Europe that much because the weather's so nice here. Because if this was Melbourne, everyone's like, yeah, hardware. If July usually is the time that you go overseas because it's winter here and you just want to get to a warmer climate.
Yeah.
So, Melburnians particularly go to Europe. And if you're not there, your entire Instagram feed is filled with people traveling. And so it's just a special time. It's a really special time for travel. And we were very lucky that nobody had really owned the brand.
And do you see July as always a travel company?
I think there's always a travel DNA in there. I mean, apart from being a homewares bottle brand, apart from our legacy there.
There's still money on the table.
There's still money, exactly. Frank Green does a pretty good job with that bottle. Have you seen that bottle that Frank Green does? It's like, 20 litres? It's a huge bottle. It's the biggest bottle you've ever seen. This thing
it's like one of those things you used to put on like the kitchen bench.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And women love it. I don't know if you see them lug this thing around. It's so funny. Anyway.
We've gone backwards as a species.
Bottles,
we used to just drag your water around.
Let's not talk luggage. Let's just talk drink bottles for a second. So, look, there's always travel DNA in what we do. People talk about their brands being lifestyle brands and all these sorts of things. For sure, everybody wants to elevate to the next step of what their brand can be. I definitely feel like there needs to be purpose, though. And sometimes you can overgeneralize what the brand could be.
Yeah.
I like it. I like seeing July and knowing that we are specifically travel focused. And what is travel anyway? Travel can be anything at the end of the day, but there's always features and components and narrative around the travel.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about the massive growth that you have had. It's fantastic to see the mark that you're making in the US and the growth here. From a marketing perspective, are there any particular moments or hacks that you did to get that growth that you think is unusual for July?
Unusual for July?
Well, unusual compared to other brands in e-commerce that you did a bit differently.
Yeah, so I know you sent me questions to pre-read, right? And I didn't really. So
actually, most of these haven't been on it,
so I'm just going to ad hoc it, right? Because anything different? I tell you what we do differently. I wouldn't call it necessarily a strategic play, but we get a lot of PR, organic PR, which is fantastic, right? You get the listicles, you get the traffic that comes from these things. How do we get that PR? Well, it is a mix of art and science. So you definitely want you definitely put all your best foot forward, like the website works and all those sorts of things. You're making sure that your retargeting's working and all the things that as people in digital and e-commerce you definitely get, right? But then what is that extra element that gets you the PR? We sort of look to fashion brands and bigger brands than us that are not in e-commerce for inspiration. And so, as an example, I love what Oroton are doing at the moment. Beautiful work. Really, they got a creative director in. Their bags are great. Are they e-commerce? Yeah, sure. But you wouldn't see them as an e-commerce brand. You see them as a fashion brand who are telling stories, making some great product. So for us, we sort of look to other worlds and go, what can we take from that? Can we steal some SaaS strategies that will help us with our EDMs and automations? Yeah, let's take a little bit of that. When we're talking about creative and campaigns, can we look to the people who do it best and steal a little bit of that? And so while I don't really know what the secrets were, there's one campaign in particular, when we talk about that carry-on light bag that I'd referenced, we did a campaign where we went and rented out the world's slowest or fastest frame, but slowest slow-mo camera, and just filmed people jumping up in the air with a suitcase at the slowest frame rate. And that campaign, it cost us maybe $5,000, $5,000 or $6,000 total, right? That campaign, when Vogue featured us as top 20 luggage companies you should buy from, they used our creative as opposed to Rimmels, LeBron James, Away's Serena Williams collabs, and everybody else would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in their campaigns. So we got the press, we got the feature, we got top spot, and we got the creative for the article. And it cost us $5,000, right? Because we wanted to try and do something that was not just based around performance marketing, but actually help tell some of that story as well.
Beautiful.
I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. Yeah. And creative is done in-house?
Everything, most things are done in-house, okay. Yeah. And not for any reason other than there's a lot of there's a lot of control that we want to have.
Yeah, especially if it's a core thing that you're using for your PR and your awareness.
Yeah.
Let's get nerdy. You're on Shopify. We've got a lot. That's right?
Yeah,
you gave me a weird look. I'm like, oh shit, big
Our
commerce.
GM gave you half the answers. It's great, that's great.
Could have been so awkward. And we've got Shopify in the room.
We do love Shopify, wherever you are.
They're everywhere. Look at them. It's nice to see you guys, out in the real world for once. It's good to have you here. Tell me, what from a on-site performance and conversion aspect, is there any apps, any tricks that you really rely on? And obviously, don't mention any of our sponsors' competitors. That really help. With
we use most of the stack for the sponsorship, which is quite lucky. But I guess the maybe the awkward or not so awkward thing was we use a headless ecom with Shopify running it. And why did we do that? I don't know. Because the dev wanted to do it. Good old Lockie. He's brilliant. No, but at the end of the day, it helps us get really custom with the front end. And while there are some challenges with headless, the opportunities for a lot of personalization stuff really start to come through. And I think there's pros and cons with both. I think it's hard for marketers to be able to control front end activities with headless. I think it helps being native a lot more. But for us, we went headless, and there are lots of bits and pieces. Yeah.
Is it as simple as Wadey said it was? Like Andrew before just said, headless is easy.
It's easy with the right dev. Yeah, you got to have the right dev. We got devs in house. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And now I understand that you're on a bit of a spree to open up new retail stores at the moment, which, again, we heard from Andrew, is a big trend in e-commerce. Tell me what triggered that decision, and, how do you measure success of stores compared to e-commerce?
Yeah, I mean, if I was up here now saying, okay, where I'm about to start a business, let's say I'm going to start a socks business, right? I'm going to start selling socks. Does anyone sell socks here, by the way? No? Did I pick the one category that no you do? Socks, yeah. Well, you sell other things than socks, mate. Yeah. We know what you sell, mate. We know what you sell. Do you want to come up here and do a demo for us?
And for anyone listening, he's wearing a Love Honey shirt. I think you know who he is.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Are you trying to think about what socks they are?
Well, no, I'm not. No. But side note, warm feet actually help you orgasm. That's just, put that on the podcast.
We always do 3 takeaway tips at the end of it, so that could be one. Yeah.
So, if I was starting a socks business and then I said, we're going to open up, retail for physical retail first, and eventually get to an e-com store, you'd think it's the most traditional, old school way of doing business in the world. But if you start with a website first and then go, you know what, I'm actually thinking physical retail, that's the future, it sounds progressive, which is super crazy, right? So for us now, it's a bit of a flex, right? So, version 1 of a store, it's always a bit of a flex because doing physical retail takes a lot of CapEx, takes a lot of money up front. So, you do it as a way it's a profitable billboard. It's fun to do. It's great to be able to have a physical presence somewhere to show people things. And it's a great flex for any business to be able to do. And we did it early days, honest speaking. We did it for that reason. We got a great spot. We wanted people to touch and feel the product. But importantly for our category, there are a lot of people who might be very organized when it comes to travel, but there are a lot of people who are leaving the next day and just need a suitcase. And so for our category in particular, physical retail makes a lot of sense in that customer journey, because if you need one tomorrow and you want a July, we actually can't give it to you. Maybe COVID gave, that e-commerce confidence the boost that it needed to be able to input credit card details online for that boomer generation. But from a delivery standpoint, we don't really have that confidence just yet. Thank God Australia Post is not one of the sponsors tonight. They do a brilliant job. It's a hard job, but you just don't get that expectation. And I've seen a lot of Amazon ads at the moment saying next day delivery now. one-day delivery, but that's the first time in a long time that we've seen that. I don't think people's expectations are there just yet. So back to the point of physical retail. Why are you starting to see more and more physical retail happening in e-commerce is because the customer acquisition costs are fantastic. They are. If you do rent as a CAC number, it is just a phenomenal number. It just takes a lot more. So when you're doing it through paid social, as most of us are doing it, it's a variable cost. You can kind of get away with increasing the budget a bit more, learning your way through it. You go from $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000, but you sort of like you baby steps it. If you're doing it through physical retail, you need fit out costs. You're looking at like $250,000, $300K upfront sunk, wages, staff, training, things like that. So it's a bit of a different strategy play, but you'll find if you do it properly, and I mean I won't say that, but for us in particular, our CAC's halved for physical retail. It's not for everybody. It's not for all things, but I think the number is something like, for our Australian e-commerce store versus our Australian retail stores, retail represents 20% of the revenue. And we're talking like a few locations versus Australia, Australia, New Zealand. So it's just like, it's quite a powerful tool.
Any advice for the retailers in the room who might be looking to open their first store or reinvent their stores? I mean, that's the end of my question. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just left on the wrong.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer in it. I think it's a great experiential thing. I think rent is the only thing that stops more brands from doing this experiential stuff. I foresee that as rents normalize, rents come down because there's so many people doing e-commerce, that you're going to start seeing a lot more experiential retail come into play. What that means is like, you can go to Tokyo and go to Porter. I don't know if you've heard of Porter bags. They make these beautiful bags. Yeah, all my references are very bag related, by the way, just in case you haven't noticed.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So Porter do some beautiful bags made in Japan. If you go to their Tokyo store, you can only buy certain things in that Tokyo store you can't get anywhere else. And so they make it a full experience where you come into the back room, they show you these bags. It's absolutely special. But it doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can't get them unless you go to the Tokyo store. So it makes you want to go. It makes it part of you might have 10 of their other bags and you kind of want to dip in and go, show me that stuff. Show me the stuff that I can't see anywhere else. So I think as when rents normalize, you're going to see a lot more experiential stuff. We're a global brand, but if you come to the Melbourne Collingwood office, maybe we're going to look after you. Maybe there's something you can't get anywhere else. That's true for now. What we do now, I wouldn't call it a hard strategy, but because the office has a retail store, I put a retail store baked into the office. You'll actually probably get one of us serving you, and I sell the samples that we get, like the experimental samples. So a lot of people who come to the Melbourne store actually leave with stuff that doesn't exist and will never exist, They can't return it either, So, but it's a lot of fun, and I believe in that. I believe in that experiential stuff, and I think when rent's cheap enough, we'll see a lot more of it.
Now, this might be an awkward question if you haven't read the questions, but
just want to be honest.
I've listened to a few podcasts and I've seen you speak before. Is there a question that you wish someone would ask you that you've never been asked before?
No.
Just trying to get someone else to do my job.
It's a question that I've never been asked that I want somebody to ask.
Yeah, like a story that you're just like, why isn't anyone talking about this?
It's not particularly, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of the people see the business now and go, "Oh, great, you guys have done so well," but there's a lot of back work, there's a lot of grit that most people will know anyway, right? When you're a founder, you're spending a lot of time in a room together, and you're just trying to get stuff done. There's just a lot of gut-made decisions that people think are very strategic and that are very much not. And so, they come looking for advice, right? They're like, what are these things? What should we do? And you're like, I don't know. We just sat in the room and kind of cracked it and printed out some things and printed out all those bad reviews and just like, we'll just make it curvier, and so there's a lot of that, right? So I guess, I don't know what the question would be, but the answer is definitely like...
The answer is just make it curvier.
Just make it curvier. How do you sort of understand more gut-based decisions that founders, that Anybody who's sort of trying to create something where that inspiration and that sort of grey area of what to do comes from.
It's good advice. Great advice for a non-question.
There you go.
What's next for July? What's on the radar?
What's next? You guys want to hear a cool thing that we're doing? But, it's not live yet, though. Like, we're way off. Way off. But I'll give you the big thing. So there's a power bank underneath here. You got it in here. Very nice. So you can charge your phone or your laptop, USB-C. Gets you around 4 or 5 iPhone cycle charges, or 50% of your laptop, just going straight to the pitch. But has anyone got a pen on them?
Yeah, I do, actually.
You got a pen on you? What we did from day one was actually make this whole thing come out. So the idea behind this is that you can future-proof any stuff that you sold in the past. So what we're developing now is a global roaming 5G unit. So you can get Wi-Fi anywhere where you are in the world, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And I mean, like, there's a fun thing to it where you're like, that's sick. And then the other part to it is it helps us, like, not just sell a suitcase, but now we're selling services. We've sort of gone from hardware to software. You're increasing lifetime value. I don't know, all the acronyms that you want to, LTV, AOVs, CACs, all the things, right? We're trying to do all the things, but that one there, we're like, well, we're solving a real problem. Wi-Fi is an issue when you're traveling. Look, if you're rich enough, you put Telstra on roaming and you get the job done. But for a majority of people in the world, access to Wi-Fi is important. You end up spending most of your time at Starbucks or Macca's. This is a great way a cheap way, but an effective way to get global roaming 5G. We're halfway through that development process. So that's kind of cool.
That's so cool.
But we want to do some new things. We want to do a luggage rental service as well, which I think would be pretty cool because not everyone wants to buy luggage. And so if you're going overseas and you've got your suitcase, but your suitcase is sitting in your wardrobe unused for 95% of the year, why not give it to somebody else and make $100 off it?
They might have different thoughts about that, but...
Maybe they beat it up as well. Who knows? We haven't cracked that one fully yet, but that's so. I guess for us, like, making beautiful hardware is already in the pathway, and we want to obviously fill out the funnel with as many new products as possible.
That's awesome.
Being able to get customers to come back and buy more things from us, and at the same time help grow the brand, grow the business into something that's not just suitcases.
I'm coming to questions, so get ready because we've got one of these up for grabs. That went a totally different way than what I thought that question was going to go.
Better not reading the questions, man. I'm telling you, this is for future. I'd never send anyone the questions.
Well, I don't use them anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about cats.
Oh, the pets.
The thing you launched today.
We launched it today. Well, that's not the future. That's right now.
Today. Yeah,
that's right now.
Technically, you're right.
Yeah, you can't really see, but we did something cool. We launched it, today, yesterday. Basically, if you've got... Who's got pets here? Most of us, right? Most of us got pets, right? You can't take them with you when you travel, which is, a bit sad. So the idea we had was, well, the personalization again, right? You send us a photo of your pet or your pets. We'll get it illustrated. And then we'll personalize your suitcase with your pet on it. And so that way they're like, they're always traveling with you, right? Like that's the angle there.
Right there.
And it's gone wild, right? Because your pet is so cute and it looks great. It looks great on the thing. So like on a drink bottle, on a suitcase, whatever we can print, we'll get it done. And it's been wild. Yeah. It's been really good.
I just love how you went for pets over kids. Makes so much sense.
Yeah, kids are a pain in the ass, but pets are amazing.
That's right.
Yeah.
You miss your pets when you're away.
And the photo shoot for that was great. People say don't work with pets and kids, with animals and kids. Like, they are a massive pain in the ass. Like, they just don't do what you want to do, what you want them to do. But it was a fun photo shoot. You can see it on the gram.
Beautiful. Thank you. Who's got a question? Yaz, do we have a microphone? Yes, we've got a microphone coming around.
I generally need a microphone. Hi, I'm Yaz from
Hi, Yaz.
Economy. I love your bags and I really want to win it. So, thank you. With the circular economy being worth $4.5 trillion globally by 2030, what's your strategy for July to design for disassembly with advanced manufacturing to ensure longevity through repair, repurpose, and re-commerce beyond the single life cycle of your bags, which are very difficult to recycle? In particular, use of non-virgin materials including metals, plastics, fabrics, handles, wheels and zippers, and now e-waste through your very cool power banks.
Way to make me look really shit.
Sorry, not sorry.
Doesn't win the suitcase. I mean, your question is, how are you going to focus on recycling and the circular economy despite the complexities in luggage manufacturing?
Well, repair more than recycle. Like, recycling's the end of life. It's where you throw it out to be disassembled. But like your wheels, for example, can I purchase wheels through a e-commerce platform to be able to ensure the longevity of your life cycle of your products so that it's not make waste and it's more circular?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. You don't need to purchase it. If they break, we'll just fix it for you. So all the suitcases come with a lifetime warranty. So if anything breaks or anything happens, we take it back and we repair it. So thanks for that. I didn't realise that was prompting me to do that. No, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, shit happens. And so when it does happen, we try our best to repair where possible. And so, you know, even if worst case scenario something cracks, the polycarbonate itself is recyclable. And what we'll end up doing is then just strip it for parts and use it for other things. So there's a lot that goes into it that we do try and salvage. You know, we are a lean business generally in a lot of ways, and we don't like the idea of just replacing things for the sake of doing it, which I know is common practice in a lot of e-com businesses. There's a lot of cost that goes into these things, a lot of work that goes into it. So we do try and save it as much as possible. But yeah, lifetime warranties for the stuff we do ourselves.
Great question, great answer.
Yeah.
Well done.
Hi.
It's a hot side of the room over there.
Whilst I appreciate Yaz's question, this is a question of love, okay?
And
it's about socks and sex toys and luggage. So, not bribing you, but this is the top question so I can get that bag. How do you be consistent in the love that you're showing, the passion you're showing between your online and your retail stores?
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a super tough one, right? Because you're talking about how do you scale culture, and how do you really get that message across when the team grows bigger or when you're not there physically present yourself. There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things there. One of the early strategies that we sort of wanted to do, and I wouldn't even call it a strategy, right? Like, the founders still answer customer service tickets is one sort of real easy soundbite to sort of go, well, the bigger you get, typically, the more that the founders or the CEO, whoever it is at the top, gets further away from the customer, from the revenue, for whatever reason, right? For as big as you get, they're the revenue, and you know the boss is always the furthest away from dealing at the coalface. So we try and stop that by actually doing some of the ground level stuff, and it's not because we don't want to hire anybody to do it. We like doing it. We like getting in there. The other thing that, you know, I think it's the Ritz-Carlton. There's a great example of it where they empower teams to be able to embrace those values. So you sort of go, well, the value is like we go above and beyond. We try and do whatever it takes. And when you're dealing with me, I might just Uber that case to you, you know, from Homebush to Bondi. It would cost me $150 for a $300 suitcase, but I know that if you live in Bondi, you're probably rich, so you've got rich friends, and I'll do that for you, right? You know, that's kind of the, you know, I'm like, I can make that instant judgment call and get that job done. How does a customer service person figure that out and get empowered to do it? So for us, you know, we have it, like, there's a Ritz-Carlton example where they gave their staff members cash to be able to spend on clientele because they knew that the LTV was through the roof to make them happy. So $100 for a happiness execution meant, you know, $12,000 in returned revenue. So, you know, for us, we empower our customer service team to do what they can to go above and beyond. It's probably the only way I've seen to be able to accurately scale that culture from a staff to customer level. I don't know if that answered.
We're going to go from this side of the room.
I guess it's really hard to get feedback from founders on, you know, their journeys because we're always busy doing things. So I'm really keen to know whether you've had a mistake or like a decision you've had to make that, COVID aside, that's really defined kind of the business or you as a person? And kind of a follow on to that is, how do you, as a founder, I don't know what your background is, but if this is your first kind of voyage in that, how do you cope with the stress and kind of the decision-making fatigue and that kind of thing? And you could do whatever you want, like your future is yours, but with that comes a whole lot of people trying to get things off you, or, you're trying to create your own destiny. So I'm interested to hear from you.
You're asking about like a time that I learned something from screwing up, right? I guess for me, and this is probably less about July, but I've taken that learning for July. I used to work in strategy for a large ad agency, and that was a great career, and I really loved it. And during that time, I had gone on to start something else as well. I was doing a coffee subscription business, which was a fantastic business at the time. And it was a side hustle more than anything else. It was this back then everyone had to have a side hustle. I do this, but I also do this, and I do, it's part of this weird culture. And so I guess what most people, and particularly myself, didn't realize is that if you're doing side hustles, you eventually, and you want it to be successful, you don't want to be doing a very average side hustle forever. When that grows, something has to lose. And it's typically the other thing that you're doing for a job. So what I found is that as my coffee subscription business was growing, I was getting really shit at my job. I was just like, and not so much shit at the job, but I was burning the relationships that I'd spent long building. My teammates that I'd been working with for so long, I was starting to piss them off. So I'd make a judgment call then and go, well, I'm gonna stop that burning and focus on this and cut that off. And I guess my learning from that is know the end goal and don't try and overcommit to things just to be part of that game, just to sort of understand what you're getting yourself involved into. And so that's the sort of lesson with July, in the sense it's a really one-track mind of I know the majority of things. I don't need to say oh yeah, I'm an investor here and I also do lawn bowls and all these other things that I can come up with. It's irrelevant. There really is a one focus thing, and that's what we try and do. And I guess that's the lesson that I learned. I did burn a few bridges along the way to get to that lesson. How I manage the stress, I don't know. I've started running at the moment. That helps. Catch the 5K up. Great way to start.
Nice. Probably one more.
Yeah, great. We'll take the table up the back there.
So I specialise in retail design.
What was your name, sorry?
Barb from Alcott Studio. When you came up with the idea, what was unique about your pitch that made your investors really fall in love with your idea? Because that's always the question.
Great question.
That works or doesn't work.
I saw those eyebrows get raised. That might mean something.
What is the thing that got these guys over the line? It is 70% the energy that you have in the room, right? And it's you've got to believe in it, when you're interviewing somebody or somebody's telling you something and they're just not there, and you're like, well, if you don't care, why should I care? You need the founders, you need the people who are pitching who are just emotionally there and ready and know the numbers and have done the pre-work and clearly care enough to have done that. I feel like that's a good chunk of it. And the other thing is we don't pretend to be all things. We don't pretend that we're a SaaS business. We don't go into it trying to overkill. We're very honest with who we are, but that's bullshit. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of it comes down to the people in the room. And so we probably did maybe 30 or 40 pitches. It's the classic story of you pitch once and then that didn't go too well, and then you do it again and you do it again. And what I found in particular is that doing presentations like this and showing them slides, just not our vibe. It just does not work, right? So we pre-send them a really light deck, and then it's all demo. It's exactly what we did at the beginning. It's let me show you this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that, and just bamboozle them with product stuff. And because we physically design this product ourselves, and we continue to, we're so involved that we can't pretend. It really does come out. So you got to find what that passion point is. I'll end it with a quote, right? That I haven't used in a long time. So the founder of Honda, Soichiro Honda, he used to say something: pull the sail with your strongest arm. So the idea for us is that our strongest arm is about the passion of the product, And so we'll pull on that sail to whenever we're trying to talk about the business. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's a brilliant way to wrap up tonight.
With a 100 quote.
Just a little. I was trying to get in there before I say something to stuff it up. Everyone, give it up for Athan. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, God. It seems so lonely in my studio now after hearing all of that played back. But what an absolutely amazing night. Make sure you sign up to our email list on addtocart.com.au or follow our socials, because I am pretty sure that there is going to be more Add to Cart live events coming up all around Australia, and I'd love to see you there. And yes, we mentioned a July coupon right at the start of the episode, just in time for your summer travel adventures. I mean, listen to Athan speak. I know you couldn't see the product, but it is beautiful. If you want to get your hands on your own, potentially pet personalised July luggage, simply head to july.com and use the code ADDTOCART, all one word, ADDTOCART, to get 10% off your order. Limited time only. Now, this is normally the part where I try and pull 3 lessons from the chat that I have with my guest. But to be honest, my head still hurts from the night. So I have turned to our partners for them to share their biggest lessons from Athan. So stay tuned right now for some great insights from the best in the business. All right, I have my panel of experts with me to share their takeaways from the night, because my mind's still not in the right place to be able to do this. So each of you, I've asked you for one takeaway from the chat with Athan, and I'm going to go around the table introducing you as we go rather than introduce you all at once so listeners can understand your voices. First, I'm going to go to you, Andrew at Convert Digital. What was your biggest takeaway from the night?
Mate, it was fantastic to hear Athan echo a few of the room's comments around the return to physical retail and how Athan and the team are approaching that. Certainly coming from a pure play online retailer and back in has its challenges, but again, it's an incredibly exciting opportunity that the July team have, and I'm looking forward to see how they execute it.
Beautiful. And I loved our little chat that we had beforehand, obviously not recorded and broadcast to our listeners. You have to be there on the night for those kind of insights from you, Andrew. But thank you. That was fantastic, and appreciate you putting the event on. Josh, I'm going to go to you because we talked about those challenges during COVID. Obviously, shipping is a huge challenge, and you see that every day with ShipStation. What was your biggest takeaway?
I think definitely one of my biggest takeaways was when Athan was mentioning about building and expanding the brand, but doing it with purpose. And so, not diluting that brand. And my takeaway from that is, not going and doing absolutely everything and being on task with what you're there and staying within the luggage realm and what they want to do with that, or the travel industry. So I think it's really, good to see a merchant that is sticking to what their purpose is as a company and growing and expanding with that, which I think is a great takeaway.
Passion and purpose, I felt, was like it was infective. That, I don't know if that's the right word. Infectious. That night, Athan's passion for July.
Contagious. It was contagious.
Yeah, contagious. They're not all good words. None of those are good. Now, when we're talking brand, obviously emails at front and center of that, and conversations with our customers. Rhiannon, you are dealing with those kind of conversations every day at ANZN. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, so I'm just echoing Andrew a little bit here. Is one of the inspiring takeaways was Athan's take on customer service, because we're a customer journey agency. So it's all about the user experience, what happens after they purchase or once they land on site. How are we enriching that experience? However, when Athan was talking about, doing customer service in store, and now he's got his own staff members, being able to empower them to be able to make maybe out of the box decisions, seeing if there is kind of maybe a top dollar customer, and being able to let his customer service agents or staff members be able to make those out of the box decisions and make it a little bit more exciting and enriching the customer experience in store.
Yeah, I love that example. So that was in question time, if I recall correctly. It was around how do you kind of take that step out and allow customers to be the new Athan in taking that brand purpose forward. James, obviously at Klaviyo, you guys are in that customer journey as well. What was your takeaway from the night?
Yeah, thank you very much. Amazing evening. Clearly, we're delighted to be involved. Like I look around this room and see so many of our amazing partners, and so we were delighted to be there. Mine's slightly different to the normal customer journey and digital strategy I talk about. I actually caught with Athan afterwards and asked him about his investment rounds. I know there was a question on this. And it was more the ball in his court. How did he choose the investor that was right for him? And he said that they'd done, over 30 different VC pitches. And he said to me that what you could tell straight away with how interested they were in learning about their product and their business and their goals. And as Josh mentioned, they're a purpose-driven business, and they wanted someone to believe in their purpose, and that was going to be the right investor for them. And it's not something we talk about too much on our side of the marketing strategy, but taking investment and taking it from the right person or the right group is really important. So he's clearly chosen a sustainable business partner to get involved with, and it was driven by the right reasons.
Did you get any real investor tips in those late night drinks, the late night drinks?
My shares aren't doing too well, so I don't get involved anymore.
This is not investment advice. Joe, going back to customer, obviously you are dealing with a different stage of the customer journey, usually at reviews.io. What did you get out of the night?
Yeah, I think for me, and I guess it's a continued theme that everyone's kind of touched on in a way, was that it was just, I think Athan's overall passion for the brand and the product. And I think like hearing the story about the wheels and the way that things were molded and going that extra mile to really make sure that it's a quality product for the customer was probably the biggest insight for me. And it's probably a little bit different than talking about tech stacks and all of those sort of things. But I think, it doesn't matter whether a brand's doing online, offline, omni-channel, a combination of the both. I think what really stood out to me is, especially as I'm about to be traveling, so I'm going to be purchasing some luggage, it's just the quality of product and really delivering the best product to the customers. So that was my insights.
Beautiful. Going to use a discount code when you buy that luggage?
No. I'll support and do the right thing. But I will leave a review.
Fantastic. And obviously Jasper from Gorgeous was going to join us on the call, but he couldn't be here today. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I really appreciate all your support. We've got Convert Digital, Klaviyo, Anzan, Reviews.io, ShipStation, and Gorgeous supporting us. So thank you very much. The things that come to mind from all those conversations bringing us together is passion and customer coming together. And I think that really summed up Athan's approach on the night. So thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts from last Thursday night. And hopefully we get to do it all again soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks again to all our partners from the Add to Cart Live night. If you want to get in touch with any of those partners that you heard, their details will be in the show notes. Feel free to reach out directly to them or just get in touch on LinkedIn. To get the highlights of today's episode, head on over to addtocart.com.au and sign up for our free newsletter. Each Tuesday, we will send Monday's episode summary, links, and discount codes for you to go next level on. And if you're looking to explore your next e-commerce opportunity, come and visit us at eSuite. We're a dedicated e-commerce talent agency connecting the best e-commerce talent with the fastest growing brands in Australia. Head on over to eSuitetalent.com.au where you can download the free e-commerce salary guide and sign up to our weekly e-commerce job emails. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep those customers adding to cart.